Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Saturday and it is time for Christmas coloring. Yay! We're going to be coloring in the Merry Christmas by Ruth Saunderson. This page is from her Etsy. I have listed below her Etsy for this as well as the physical book on Amazon. We're going to be using the Cray Art colored pencils, which is a really nice set of pencils. I don't know why my camera is doing that. Why did it just do that? I don't like that. That's why my autofocus is on. I don't know why it just went really dark like that, but hopefully it will fix itself. Um, so we'll be using the Cray Art colored pencils. Good morning, Bonnie. Good morning, Callie. Yes, it's very festive. Um, good morning, Mona. Good morning, Noelle. Good morning, everybody out there in Lurker land. So we're going to zoom in and we're going to get started on this page. Let's start on Santa Claus. My printer is having issues, so there's a few little lines through the page, but we'll cover those up. All right. Hi, Bob. Okay, so let's start with Santa here. And we're going to use sangria, rose, and red. So there's rose and sangria. Hello, Alex. Good morning. Good morning. Start with the sangria. Zoom in just a little more. Now, Ruth's work is a darker grayscale. Um, so if you aren't used to grayscale, it can be a little daunting. I always put in the shadow work first so that I don't lose the shadows when I go over it with the lighter colors. I hope everybody is getting ready for the season. I've got a little bit of shopping that I'm able to do this year, so I've still got to do a little bit, and I've got to get busy on baking some more. I made ginger snap cookies, and I think they were really enjoyed because, yeah, they're almost all gone. So I got to make some more. I'm going to make shortbread and a few other things. This is gray toned paper. The reason why I'm using gray toned paper is because white stands out really, really well on it. And when coloring a page for Christmas, there's going to be a lot of white, there's going to be a lot of snow. So coloring it on a colored paper does give you the ability to make that snow stand out. That part is his belt. This part is his coat. Hello, Kenny. Good morning, darling. How are you doing? I hope you are doing well. Work away and don't have him making you do too much. It's his shop. All right, so that was Sangria, which is 109. This one is Rose, which is number 37. I am using the Strathmore Gray Toned, and these pencils are covering it very nicely. So, yeah, that is dusty. Okay. So after stream today, I will probably be in the kitchen doing some baking. Tomorrow I will probably have to go out for more butter. All right, and then the last color we're going to use is red. Hopefully that is not blurry for you guys. I think I need to have my glasses checked. Good morning, Catherine. And just so you know, Ruth is having a 40% off sale on her Etsy. So some of her books and pages are 40% off. This book is one of those that is 40% off. The great thing about having it in a PDF format is you can print it out as many times as you want. I'm going to come back in with the rose. And then the sangria. Hello, Sue. All right, then we're going to take the black for his belt. We're going to get that put in there so I don't miss it and forget it. Like so. All right, now we're going to do the other side here. Again with the sangria first. Hello, Joyce. Good morning, good morning. That was the rose, and this is the red. Then we've got there, belt here. Yeah, how was your concert? I saw pictures. You look like you were having a very good time. All right. So I'm just going back and forth with the three colors, the sangria, the rose, and the red. Hello, Jeanette. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Glad you're able to make it into the live. All right. So there's his coat. Let's work on his pants. We're going to do all of the red stuff and then we'll go into the white. That's the wrong one. I grabbed the wrong pencil. Yeah, it is a wonderful page. And it is one of the pages, I do believe, from her "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" book that she wrote. So, wrote and illustrated, or illustrated, and I'm not sure. But it is a very old story, and it's wonderful. She's such a good artist, and she is such a sweet lady. Hurry back. Those darn customers keep on interrupting you. They are fun to color, absolutely. I enjoy coloring grayscale. I did find it when I first started coloring grayscale extremely intimidating. until I figured out the best way for me to color it. Now, everybody has a different way of doing it. So if my way of doing it doesn't work for you, of course, make sure that you do what is best for you. I work from dark to light and then build the color. Some people work from light to dark. I find it works better for me going from dark to light so that I can see where those shadows are and don't lose them. Yes, the cray art are covering this paper very nicely. The paper I'm using is the Strathmore gray toned paper. And these pencils are covering it really, really well. All right, so now we're going to move on to the gray and white area. So I need this one and this one. Now I'm just going to do little tiny, tiny dot flicks. Because this is supposed to be a fur edging here. I am using the Prisma white for this. You can use the white that comes in the, the package as well. And the reason why I'm doing this starting off with the white is because I'm just going to tap in the same as the white with the gray. And it's, of course, glaring. Let's see if we can turn that brightness down a little bit and try to not have it so glary. I don't know why the camera has decided to do its own thing today. I think it's trying to focus on my hand or something. And I've taken the autofocus off. It's just decided that it wants to do its own thing. That's great. I'm so glad that Anna enjoyed it as well. Now down here where it's a little bit grayer, a little bit darker because it's the underside of his jacket, I am putting the gray down solid. The gray I'm using is dark gray, which is number 36. And the white that I'm using is the Prismacolor white. And I'm just going in little dots, little tiny flicks in different directions, both with the white as well as the gray. This part is going to be one of the most tedious, time-consuming parts. With doing it this way, it gives you that texture that you want to see with the fur. Yeah, these are just the Crayart, and another brand that um, are very similar, if not identical, is the Norberg and Linden 120 set. A couple of years ago, well, a few years ago now, Norberg and Linden came out with their 120 set. Unfortunately, the factory mixed their pencils up with another brand, um, a couple other brands actually, and Crayarts was one of them. So if you have a set of Norberg and Linden from that time, you actually have the set of Crayarts as well. Well, instead. Okay, so I'm not sure if that is showing very well, but hopefully it is. In the UK, Crayart might be. I don't know if Norberg and Linden is. Crayart might be on your Amazon. The white I'm using is the Prisma. If you want to see what the Crayart white does, now the Crayart white is not as opaque as the um, Prismacolor, but it definitely does still stand out white on this paper. So even if you're just using the Crayart white, you're still going to get that white color on the paper. Now I am going to use the Crayart for this side because of the fact that it is a lot more translucent. It gives me the ability to have that white in there, but have that gray show as a dominant because this side here is shadowed, where this side here is brighter. So the grayscale is going to show through this white a little more than it is going to show through the Prisma. I'll put some Prisma white here, just in those really bright areas. Okay. Now for his sleeves. Yeah, the Norberg and Linden are a U.S. company. I'm not sure if they're still in business. COVID did a number on them, so I would have to reach back out to Mr. Linden. I've reached out a couple of times, but I haven't heard back from him since the last time I spoke to him, which COVID was doing horrible things to the company. So they also do paint and other art material or art medium. Just making sure I have the right amount of white going in here. And down here where it's darker, I will use the Cray Art white just to fill that in. Thank you, Kenny. Um, yeah, I left a link for the US Amazon below. If you want to see how it's spelled. All right. Now we're going to do this other side here. This side here is more shadowed, so we're going to use the Cray Art pencil for it. A little bit of the Prisma just to make the edges stand out a little. And I'm just going to go back and forth between the gray and the white. And just little dots, little tiny flicks. Oh, okay. Not in the UK. Yeah, the one I have listed is for the US site. Um, the listing below the video here, but you can use it to look up the listing in the UK. Another one to look at is maybe Amazon, Japan, or China, because they are produced in China. So, all right. And then we're going to do his neckline here. It is one that Shannon uses. So if you are enabled by people, Shannon would have enabled you. Or me, I've had them for a while. Try not to get into the beard. We'll be doing the same sort of technique for the beard, but we'll be using more of the Prismacolor white for the beard and the hair, just so it stands out a little more, and a lighter gray for the shadows. All right. Oh, we need to do his hat. Let's do his hat before I forget and end up coloring it with the bag. Because, yeah, I will. So we're going to start off with sangria. Then I'd have to show you how to erase on grayscale. All right. Yes, Connie is a big enabler too. I am too, but not lately. I try not to enable too much. I do have my coupon page and that sort of thing, so I guess I do try to enable, but it's gentle enabling. So I use the sangria, now I'm going over it with the rose. And then the red. must say that I haven't, I only found a couple of different pencil sets that I don't already have that I have on a might need to look at better list. All right, so there's our hat. I'm going to add a little bit more of the sangria into that shadow area. And then we're going to do the ruffle on his hat. Now this side here is brighter because from the directional information that's on the page itself, the moon is somewhere over here, somewhere over here. So this area here has that moonlight hitting it, giving it more of that brighter color. So we're going to use the Prismacolor white here. Need to sharpen it again. Going to need to sharpen it again. Sorry, I moved the page. Sorry about that. Then we're going to take our Crayart white here and we're going to start putting those lighter white flicks in there, or darker white because the Prisma puts out a brighter white than the Crayart. All right, and the gray. Yeah, exactly. Yep, I always use the Prisma white if I want it to be a stark white because it does have um, the best opacity. So it's very opaque. It's not translucent. You're not going to see through it. I do like to use the whites that come in sets, especially if they're translucent whites, with the Prisma white because it does give you that shadow effect. It gives you that lighter white color because it's more translucent. You're not getting as much of that paper covered or the undercolor covered. So if you've got an undercolor and you use a translucent white from a set, it's going to give you that color underneath and you're going to be able to work that shadow in a little bit nicer and still get that bit of texture. Yeah. All right. Now for his hair. So we've got all of his clothing done now. We're going to start on his hair. And we're going to start with a darker gray, or a lighter gray, I mean, than the dark gray that I'm using. And we're going to use, I think I want 108. And this is hair, so it's just like any other hair. It's gentle flicks. And then we're going to come in with the white. Sharpen this. The one thing about Prisma is keeping a point on a Prisma to do hair with is quite difficult. And they smush really, really easily. So to get that flick is harder. All right, now we're going to come in with the more translucent white. Because we still want it to show the white hair. We just want it to be a little bit lighter. Or darker, I should say. All right, and then the gray. Hello, bee. Now for his mustache and beard, we're going to work in the same type of way as we did the fur, just because it's a little bit easier. To get that texture. Little flicks. where the hairs come out, do your hair flick. But in the center here, where there's no hair flicks, you can just put in little little flicks randomly going all different directions, because as you know with beard hair, if you've ever seen anybody with a beard, or if your husband has a beard and you look at the beard, it goes every direction. Again, I'm using the Prisma. I'll come in with the more translucent white as well, and then we'll come in with some gray. Over here where it's brighter, we're going to use more of the Prisma. Then we're going to come in with the gray. Go through those heavy shadowed areas with the gray a little bit more depth. And then come through with the gray art. Like so. All right. I think we need a little bit of gray art up here in the gray. Just putting in that shadow. All right. Now his eyebrows I'll put on after I do his face. So let's do his face first. And we're going to start with let's start with a little bit of creamsicle. And now it's a very small face, so you're not going to have a lot of room to layer that color in. You got to remember he's a jolly old elf, so he's got a little more of the pink happy colors in his face. But I am going to put in the shadow colors. So when we come in with that lighter color, we can build on it. Now we're going to use ballet slippers. And again, I'm going to come back through and do his eyebrows after. And then we want azure. Now his eyes are very, very small. So we're not going to get a whole lot of color in there. And then we want, let's say, no, we want pink. Now we're going to use pink. And a little bit of rouge. And then we're going to blend it all in with salmon. Hello, Christine. Thank you. Like so. Then we're going to take a little bit of the black. We're just going to define his eyes here. Just because they're so small. All right, then we're going to take our gray. We're going to take our dark gray. We're going to do his eyebrows. And we're going to take our white. I don't like the way that went, so I'm going to take my eraser. Now, when erasing grayscale, you have to be a little careful that you don't use too harsh of an eraser. Little tiny areas, I will use the pencil eraser from Faber-Castell. But if I'm erasing larger areas, I will use a really soft eraser. Um, the one I have is a general, I think it's Generals. Yeah. Um, but you have to be careful not to erase the grayscale when you're erasing the pencils. So be a little careful of that. All right, and there we have our jolly old St. Nicholas. I know he looks a little strange, but then his lip. We used the rouge for his lip, and then I'm going to come in with the ballet slipper. Like so. Just a little bit more of the rouge. The one thing that you will find with grayscale is there is a lot of really small detail. So getting into those small details sometimes can be a little bit difficult. Oh, awesome, Christine. All right, now we're going to do his gloves and his bag, and we're going to do those both the same color. So we're going to do both of those in greens. So I'm going to start with forest green and hunter green. And then our light color is going to be fern. So we're going to start with the hunter green. I might actually do his gloves brown, now that I think about it. Hello, Connie. Now, as you know, this is the lighter side of the picture, so we're not going to be putting in as many deep shadows here as we did on the other side. And then forest green. Yeah, a lot of people really enjoy color and grayscale. Like I said, there are so many different ways of doing it and so many different artists out there that create in grayscale. And there's different ways of creating a grayscale as well. Some are from grayscale from paintings that they have done, but some actually draw in grayscale, which is really cool. Christine Caron draws in grayscale, and we will be coloring something of hers this month as well, hopefully, depending upon how work goes when I get in there. All right. Then the last one that we're going to use is fern. This area down here I want to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to come back in with the forest green. Because we don't want it to be as bright as the other side where that light source is hitting it. But we do want to give a little bit of a highlight. Then we're going to come back through with our darker color. Again, this is hunter green, which is number 77 if you don't go by numbers or by names. I know my first swatch chart that I made for these pencils, I only had the numbers down. I've since remade it. It is available on my Ko-fi shop. Ko-fi, coffee, Ko-fi, whatever. That shop below that is listed below the video, where I sell all the things. It is listed there for download. All right. Make sure that we put the shadow from the hat. And the underneath of the bag. Just going to blend that shadow in, softening up that darker line. Hello, Tiffany. Thank you. And then the light color again. So this is Fern. All right. There's Santa's sack done. Well, we've got a little bit down here still. Forgot about this part. Under his glove. Can't forget this part. There we go. All right, now for his gloves. We're going to do those in browns. So let's start with I want to start with rust. And then we're going to go amber, then syrup. So we're going to start off with syrup. The tone paper is gray toned. All of the links are below the video for the book on Amazon as well as Etsy, and for the paper and pencils. This is a Ruth Saunderson page out of her Merry Christmas book. It is available on Etsy as well as on Amazon. Hello, Della. And this is amber. This would also work well on blue tone paper or on a Desert Storm, a sand colored paper. Pretty much all colored paper is going to have that white stand out for you. I find that the gray toned and the blue toned work best for winter scenes. Because the white really stands out. And then rust. I'm going to take a little bit of that darker gray. We're going to come in under here. And a little bit of the white. Like so. All right, then we're going to take our black. Take that light gray first of all, just so that we don't lose that highlight. The one time that I will put the highlight in first is when it is on black, because it is really easy to lose that highlight if you don't put it in first. All right, now we're going to take our cool gray. We're going to do the belt buckle and his little thing there. we're going to take the dark gray. Now we're going to take the black. Dark gray again. No, I have not. My mom has. I have never done it myself because I am terrible at taking pictures. My mom has done that though. And she's a talented photographer as well as artist, so of course it turned out gorgeous. All right, now we have a little bit of area there that didn't get colored in, and some of it is white and some of it is red. So I'm just going to come in here with the sangria and just fill that in a little bit, just so it gives us that little bit of definition there. All right, now Santa is done except for his little friend here in his pocket. So we're going to actually take our regular white that comes with the set. A little bit of red. So let's use a little bit of rose. Yeah, that's always fun. Now we're going to put some red here, some red here, and here. Now I'm not sure what he has in his hand. I'm assuming it's a candy cane. So we're going to put some candy cane colors there. And then also through here, I'm going to put some red. Okay. And this is where those little tiny details can be a problem. All right, now we're going to take our forest green. And that's the one thing that I get lost in with Ruth's work especially is making sure that I get all of the details because there's so many little tiny details that just show up out of nowhere. Hello, Angela. Thank you. So you have to be very careful when you're going through and coloring a grayscale especially one of Ruth's, and make sure that you found all of the details because suddenly one will just jump out at you and say, "Hey, here I am. You missed me." All right, so there's our little friend in his pocket. All right, so I'm going to, there we have Santa Claus. I know his eyes look a little creepy weird, but it's all right. We'll work with it. All right, so now we're going to do the snow spray coming off of the chimney as he goes towards it. So I'm using the Prisma white for this because I want it to stand out. And I'm doing this first because when I come back through to do the background, I want that movement to show. Like so. And the rest of it is sparkles behind him. All right. Hello, Bonnie. Oh, I already said hi to Bonnie. You're working on Santa riding a T-Rex. Okay. Good point. Good point. I am good that you slept well, Kenny. Yeah, I don't color with apps, so I don't know. Yes, there are lots of colors and shadows, absolutely. And as you can see here on my jacket, I've used many different colors to bring those shadows out. You don't have to stay with just the grayscale. If you're going to just color one color over top of the grayscale, it's not going to look right. It's not going to look as in depth as if you use multiple colors. So if you use one color to color over grayscale, you are going to find that your grayscale looks very flat. So when you're coloring over grayscale without using different colors and lots of different colors, you will have an issue. All right, so I'm going to use cool gray for our undershadow here. And then I'm also going to grab my slate gray. So coloring can be interesting no matter what you find yourself doing. I do enjoy coloring grayscale because it does give me a direction. If you use the grayscale as a guide to where your colors should be built, it does make it quite enjoyable to use. So I'm coming in with that slate gray. Slate gray has a little bit of a blue to it. So when we come through with the white to add that highlight, it will show that blue tinge to the white. All right, then I'm going to come back through with that cool gray. We're just going to extend into our lighter shadow areas. And then over here, we're going to use the Cretacolor white because this side here is not as bright as this side over here. So this under area is going to be darker. Than this area here that's facing the light source. Well, sometimes you just learn things. As you go, you pick things up. As you experiment and pick things up and try things and have them extremely fail on you, you learn other things. There are some things that have extremely failed on me, and that's the only reason why I know half of what I know. All right, now we're going to use that Prisma white because we want this side to be brighter than the other side. My goodness, it's pouring with rain out. All right. And then we have our icicles hanging down here. And for our icicles, we're going to use a little tiny bit of sky blue. Welcome back, Sue. They are the Cray Art, not Cretacolor, Cray Art pencils. The link is below the video. And then we'll come back through with a bit of red as we come in to the areas that are over top of the bricks. So we're going to come in with a really, really dark brown red So probably mahogany or mulberry. Let's try mahogany. I think mulberry is too purple. Yes. Prismacolor and China white are the better whites out there. So we're going to come in and put in a little bit of that red for the brick, just so it shows through that that icicle. Then we're going to come in with our white, and I am using the Cray Art White because I want this to show white, but I don't want it to be an in-your-face white like I want that to be. Like so. All right, now for our colors on our chimney, we're going to take our white from the Cray Art, and we're going to do these areas here. On this side, we're going to do them in the Cray Art White. And then on the other side, we're going to do them in the gray. This side, we're doing them in the white because we want this side to show brighter than the other side. Oh dear. All of them? I used ballet slippers, creamsicle. For the cheeks, I used pink and rouge and a little bit of salmon. Hello, Della sister. And hello, butterflies. All right, so this side here, we're going to do that in a darker gray, so we're going to use the cool gray. Now, ice gray would have worked for the other side as well. It is a lighter gray tone, but I wanted that to stand out with the white. No worries. So there's his skin tones. His eyes are, they are what they are. They're very small. So trying to get color in there properly is tedious, to say the least. I'll probably have to go back through and fix them before they drive me crazy. Now that one there, that area there is a little bit darker. And then we're going to come through with the dark gray for that area. Now in here, we're going to use that dark gray. We're going to give that dimension. Now there's some snow there, so let's make sure that we cover that, color that snow in so that we don't end up coloring it a different color. And we're going to take a little bit of our dark gray and put that under shadow in there. It is done by Ruth Saunderson. She does actually draw the pages for Night Before Christmas, as well as several others. So if you recognize the page, more than likely you have read a book that she has done the page in for drawing. So she does a lot of artwork for different children's books as well as adult books. So she's one of my favorite artists. If you have read Nancy Drew books, I think from the 76, 78 era into the 80s, a lot of them were illustrated by Ruth Saunderson. All right. Now we're going to do our brick. And I need a light brick color. So I'm going to use yam, cinnamon, and mahogany for the bricks. Yeah, grayscale is wonderful to color. I love coloring grayscale. So on this lighter side, we're just going to use the two lighter colors, except for in those areas that are really, really heavy in the shadow. So under here, under the snow, we're going to use that mahogany. Yeah, Ruth's grayscale is very dark. She has two versions available in her books. The dark grayscale as well as a lighter version for people that don't enjoy the dark grayscale. And that is the shadow from the icicle. And then we're going to come in with the cinnamon. Oh, grayscale is very, very easy to color. You just have to be patient with it and experiment a little bit with different pencils, especially if you're coloring in a grayscale coloring book. Try different pencils to figure out what pencils work best on the type of grayscale it is, as well as on the type of paper that your book is printed on. Darker grayscale can have issues when it comes to Amazon books. I do find that with Selena Finesh's books that are printed specifically on Amazon paper. I do find that her books, sometimes the grayscale bleeds into your color a lot. So you have to experiment a little bit and find what works best for that kind of grayscale. Yes, it does take a lot of practice to color really dark grayscale because you have to be able to figure out how many layers you need to make sure that dark grayscale actually shows color instead of just the dark ink. Now I'm using Yam. One of the best things I can advise you on with color and grayscale is layer, layer, layer. The more layers you put down, the more dimension and more realistic your page is going to look. Because the more you cover that grayscale, the more it enhances what you've colored. And use it as a guide. Allow the grayscale to talk to you and show you the directions that you need to be going in. Okay, we're starting to get a little bit darker as we're coming down to this area. So I'm going to start blending that lighter color into the top area here of this brick. And then we're going to start getting a little bit darker as we move down. Not as much of the light color. And more of that darker color. I missed one altogether there. All right, now we're going into a little bit of mahogany here, just to put in that dimension there. And the shadow. As you go along, you can adjust the color by adding more. If you go through and just start with a lighter positioning, start with your dark and work your way up, but then come back and re-add some of that darker color, lighter color as you go along. That area down there I want to be a little bit lighter coming through here. So we're just going to fill that in. Come up here. Reestablishing that mahogany shadow. Yes. And a lot of people do just color in the book, and if they make a mistake, oh well. They learn from that mistake, and the next page is all the better for it. You know, that's the great thing about books is there's not just one picture in the book. There are many different pages to practice on, and practice is progress. Never practice for perfection because then you're chasing your tail. So as long as you can progress on a page and learn from it, then you are golden. Yeah, there's a pony there. And an antler back there because that's the. Okay, so there we have one side. Now on this side here, we're going to only be using the cinnamon and the mahogany. We're not going to be using the yam because this side here is darker. Inside of here, we're going to be using that mahogany a lot more. Hello, Shannon. I only print copies of PDFs. So we're going to come in here with the mahogany. And this is a PDF. And like I said, the link is below the video for the Etsy shop that this book, that the Etsy page on Ruth's shop, that's the words I'm looking for, that this book is listed on. Again, her Etsy shop is 40% off right now. So if you enjoy Ruth's work, show her a little bit of love and grab yourself a page or two or a book or two. Yeah, I just wing it. But yeah, I print off PDFs. I don't print off books. I don't mind coloring in the book. Like I said, I learned a while ago that um, when coloring in a book, each page is practice for the next page. You always learn and progress as you go through the book. Each page does not have to be spectacular. You can have mistakes. And I have lots of them. All right. So just coming through, getting the shadow areas of the bricks done. Now this area here is fully shadowed, but there are still darker areas on the bricks to show dimension. And I'll probably come through these bricks here. Actually, I'm going to. And put in a darker color as well. Which one's that? That's sangria. Let's do dark brown. Because I'm finding that they're looking a little flat. And we don't want them to look flat. All right. Now we're going to come in with the mahogany. I need to put some on here. And a lot of books now have duplicate copies. Well, a lot of the books I buy have duplicate copies um, in the book itself. So if I really mess up, I just redo it. But most of the time, I just learn from it and move on. All right, now we're going to come back with the mahogany and we're going to start putting this in as just our shadow again. All right. I do. I use all my pencils. I do enjoy all my pencils, whether they're expensive or they're inexpensive. If I don't like a set of pencils, it's not in the corner. Literally, I do send every pencil I don't use either back or I give them away to people that will enjoy them. Most of the pencils that I don't color with, I have colored with in the past. I do have a couple of sets that are no longer made that I color with very, very um, sparingly because they're no longer made. Now I'm coming through with cinnamon. That's funny, Shannon. And I liked your orange cat. Just saying. But we are our worst critics. I know I have come to the grand conclusion in my coloring journey that I'm not perfect. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to learn as I go and enjoy myself. If I don't do that, then there's no point doing this anymore. I don't compare to anybody else. And if I don't color something the way that I'm 110% happy with, I try to learn from that mistake and move on to the next page. Sometimes it takes me a couple of days of sulking, but I do eventually learn from it and move on to the next page. I didn't have my glasses on that day. It's very possible. I think I think I think you're just being overcritical of yourself, but um depends upon what you're coloring in. It all depends upon the paper. You said that you're printing on paper. What paper are you printing on? And what is the pencils that you enjoy working with? Do you enjoy working with a wax base or an oil base, a harder pencil, a softer pencil? Do you have hand issues? There are so many different things that make it difficult to give full recommendations to an individual person. One of the pencils that I have come across recently that are actually really, really nice, they're a very soft, a well pigmented pencil, is the Woomer. Um, I do have a review video on them. They do have a coupon on my coupons page for 12% off, and they're a fairly inexpensive pencil that is a little bit of both worlds, a little bit of a harder pencil, but a nice soft blendability to it. And that's a really good budget pencil set. Yeah, it also depends upon, where you're from and that sort of thing, whether or not they're going to become budget for you. If you're in the US, it's a lot easier to find the budget pencils than in, say, Africa where Connie is. Yeah, exactly, Bob, exactly. The Grisaille are a great set as well, absolutely. They're a little bit more expensive. I personally call them a mid-range, not really a budget, but it all depends um, on what you deem as budget. If your budget is $20, I would say the Cray Art are a great pencil. If your budget is $100, I would say, and you like squishy pencils, I would say the Prismas are a great color. Depends upon what you prefer to color with and how you color. Absolutely excellent advice, dear. As with any hobby, you just got to feel out what is best for you. All right, going to zoom you back out. We didn't get a whole lot done. But we did get Santa Claus done. And I do feel I need to put a couple more coats on his bottom part of his jacket here. And we got the chimney done. Um, we will continue on Monday. Um, and hopefully we'll be able to get most of everything done on Monday, at least little touches of it, so that I can continue on from there. Let's see if I can get the whole picture in. Come on, there we go. So I can continue from there. Like if I get a little bit of the snow done, I can finish that off screen and that sort of thing. I will try to touch little areas of everything so that you see how I'm going to be doing them. Exactly, exactly, Shannon. It's, don't try to keep up with um, anybody. You find where you are comfortable and where you enjoy what you're doing and love it from there. I absolutely love collecting the pencils and, it going from there and utilizing each of the pencils in my collection, it just gives me such a joy. So Crayola is a very budget-friendly pencil. It is one of the lower graded pencils for students. So if you're going up from Crayola, um, an oil-based, I would say the Brute Funer Squares is a 120 set, fabulous set. Wax base, I would say um, Cali Arts is okay. And like I said, the Woomer are quite nice. They are wax based as well. Hopefully that has helped. The Cray Art is a great oil based as well, which is usually about a $20 purchase. So, you know, altogether, a really good sets of pencils to work with. All right, guys, again, the links for all of Ruth's stuff, her Etsy shop, her Amazon shop, as well as the pencils and the paper that I have printed on, are available on the video below or in the description of the video below. So make sure that you check it out. She is having a 40% off sale on Etsy. So if you prefer to print your pictures, Etsy is definitely the way to go for her PDFs. With that, thank you all very much for watching. Of course, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And of course, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. Until next time, bye-bye for now.